Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Outside the Box. My name is Elhannah Alexis, and it's been a while. I know it's been a little while since I did a live broadcast. I guess I've gotten a little bit busy over time, and a lot of things came up, so I took a little time off. But now I'm back. Right now is a very interesting time. As we all know, election is coming. And nobody has said exactly when it is yet, but we know it's very near, because usually the telltale signs are very evident. So usually we have what they call VUP developments, and that is what we see happening now. So all over we see roads being patched, things are happening. So the government wants people to think that, we're working hard, we're doing what you want us to do, and so people will just believe that, they're working, so they vote for them. So we're in that time when things are being done in a VUP manner. That's why I call it VUP development. But the actual term for it is election gimmicks, and we are being bombarded by them. We are seeing the government paving roads that should have been paved a long time ago. We are seeing things are happening. We are seeing half things are being presented to us, things that are not completed yet being presented to us, and we know that the time is there. But something has told me, there's something that happened that tells me that election is much sooner than we believe. I'll let you know in a little bit. I just want to see who is on so far. I want to say hello to everyone who has joined the chat. Hi Mosi, Elsa, my mom, Nati Bellot, Casper. Good night everyone. Welcome to Outside the Box. I know you guys missed me, and I missed you too, and I'm happy to be back. So today we are really going to just be talking about elections and some things to do with elections, not just election as a general topic, but we're going to talk about certain things. And as I started discussing about the election gimmicks that we are seeing right now. So I spoke about the VUP development, which is also known as election gimmicks, and the other thing that we know that makes us know that election is coming is there are eggshells all over. It's like you don't know what to say because people are getting offended. People get offended easily. Somebody will cuss you out for no reason. Family members getting mad at each other, not talking to each other because the election is coming, and if you're not voting the same party with them, they're not too happy about it, and they might not be your friends. They might disown you, and all those things. So it's a very unpredictable time because we don't know how irritated people can get, and we don't know how much self-control people may have, and we don't know how desperate people might be just for their party to win. So we have to be careful, and we also have to try to avoid arguments and avoid heated discussions, because you never know what might happen. So be careful and keep your eyes open. Also, keep your eyes open for the other things that are going on in terms of development, in terms of what the government is doing, in terms of what the opposition party is doing. We need to keep our eyes open so we know. Let's try to look at the different parties involved and see and try to sense the genuineness in what they do. You know. Also try to think of the reasons why they are doing certain things that they're doing. I'm going to speak about some things in a way that probably, I don't know, I have never really heard people talk about it before. Anyway, so the number one thing that we saw so far in the recent days or weeks or whatever, we saw that the hospital, the phase 1 of the new hospital is completed, and so the government has presented us phase 1 of the hospital, which is the emergency department and some technical rooms or something like that. So what they have presented to us so far is the emergency room and some technical department, technology area. So I wanted to share some pictures of what they have presented to us. Now, I was speaking about election gimmicks, but I'm not implying that this is an election gimmick in its entirety. Because this project has been promised since 2013. So it was slated since 2013, and since that time we've heard about it and we've been waiting for it. When 2014 elections started, just before 2014 elections, the grounds were broken. That was a gimmick. The grounds were broken just before elections to keep us hanging on, to say, okay, we're getting a new hospital. Let's keep them in there so we can get a nice new hospital. So anyway, election came and election went, and now I think they started in 2016 or 2017, and then Maria held it back a little bit. Made it stay longer. So what we have here is not really an election gimmick for this year, because it has actually been in progress for a number of years. But what we are seeing here now is the phase 1, and these are the pictures that came out. These are the it looks, obviously it looks much better than what we had. It looks like a modern hospital. It looks like what you see out there. I saw people complaining about the corridors, but we never had corridors before, so we don't understand the corridors. A lot of things happen in the corridors, I guess. People hanging around, people walking up and down, but nothing wrong with the corridor. And there's an elevator. I hope people don't go riding up and down in the elevator just to ride an elevator. Seeing that will be the second elevator on island. So these are the beds. A lot of people were complaining about the beds and how it is. But remember, this is the emergency department, so it's not like the wards or anything. It's the emergency department where you have bed people next to each other. Anyway, some were complaining about whether the bed can hold a 300 pound. Of course, those beds hold all kind of people. What do you think? These are everything was made in China. So just because it came from China and the Chinese people built a hospital and they put these things in there, that doesn't mean that it is of low quality. So I think people should stop, talking about unnecessary things and just hope that everything turns out right and we end up having a very good hospital where we will not have to travel all the way to Barbados to get an MRI and on all those things. So this is the back of the hospital, I guess. I saw somebody complaining on that picture asking for wheelchair access. This is not the main entrance of the hospital. The main entrance of the hospital, we saw it in the first picture, it's flat, it's wheelchair accessible. I don't know why somebody using a wheelchair will want to pass at the back of the building when there's a front entrance which is wheelchair accessible and there's an elevator to go upstairs. I have no idea why the person would want to pass that way where they have an accessible way to pass. So that's a non-issue. So that looks like the front desk or check-in registration or whatever. Corridor again. Right, so this is what it was planned to look like. So we have what we have is just one piece of what it actually is. So what they said they have here, the emergency building and the #1 technology building in the first stage of the construction is planned to be handed over and to be used in May this year. So they're planning to hand it over and to start using it. I don't know about the using part, but yeah, they handed it over. They staged it, made it look like it was 100%. I'm not sure how much 100% it is, but anyway, so that's good that we are getting a hospital. There was something. Okay, so there you see they're saying that it is going to be named the Chinese Dominican Friendship Dominica China Friendship Hospital. Previously, the Prime Minister had said that in 2016, the Prime Minister had said when they're going to name the hospital after somebody special in Dominica, somebody that has done a lot for Dominica, and I guess he forgot about that. He forgot about what he said. He had started talking about trying to get suggestions from people and trying to get like a consensus on the name of the hospital, but I guess all this has gone out the window because they decided to name it the Dominica China Friendship Hospital. I don't have a problem with that really generally, but the fact that he said that they were going to name it after somebody, I find that he should have have stuck to his word. Or even if it could have two names, stick a name to it so at least we have something local to connect it to, somebody locally important that we could connect it to, I guess. But then again, we had Princess Margaret Hospital. Princess Margaret don't mean anything to me, and I don't know if she means anything to you, but we had a Princess Margaret Hospital, so it doesn't really matter when you look at it. What was that? Yeah, so I wanted to look at something there. What was it? There are some conflicting things because sometimes they say that it is a grant, it is like free, it is like they provided by China, like it's a grant, and then sometimes we see it's a loan. So we're not too sure. At first it was supposed to be a loan agreement of about $40 million at concessionary rates. And now it sounds like it was part of some free sponsorship that China promised us. But these things these are the things that we need to find out. We need to know exactly what is funding the hospital. Is it being funded by grants or is it being funded by a loan? So this is the, I guess, the front entrance of it. It looks a little bit like the old one we had, but it's better obviously. Yeah, so these are the pictures that I picked up of it. So the hospital phase 1 is on the way soon. Hopefully I really hope that this continues and it is completed and the hospital is much better than before, and we will be able to have good enough healthcare that will not have to fly somebody out to Guadeloupe or Martinique anytime they have something severe. And sometimes even if it's not severe, if it's anything more than paracetamol, or if it's anything more than a simple surgery, people have to be flown out of Dominica. So if that hospital can avoid that from happening, if we can at least, you know, change things, because it's not a good situation. Okay, so yeah, so that was the hospital, and that's part of the election thing too, because this is being used, the new hospital is being used as a little piece of cheese for us as the little rats in the trap, right? So the other thing I wanted to talk about, the other thing I want to talk about is what we found out on the 14th, on the 13th. That was 3 days ago. So 3 days ago, 3 days ago, the Prime Minister canceled tuition at Dominica State College. So from 3 days ago, it was like with immediate effect. Tuition will be cancelled, so students at the Dominica State College do not have to pay tuition. So the Prime Minister said, I had the occasion to write to the President of the Dominica State College, Mr. Donald Peters, to advise him of the decision of the government to discontinue the payment for tuition fees by students attending the State College with immediate effect from May 13th, 2019, and also to place a condition on students attending State College that they must engage themselves in a mandatory volunteerism at the community level, and as part of inculcating in the minds and the hearts of the students the need for them to play a greater role in community development. Secondly, to also advise the president of the college that all outstanding fees owed as of May 13th, 2019 would have been cancelled. And this is a direct quote. I actually copied and pasted, so cancelled is spelled wrongly, but I took it from DNO, so you know DNO blah blah, and I just copy and paste it. Okay, so so the Prime Minister, so in essence, the Prime Minister wrote a letter to the President of the Dominica State College and told him, yo, boss man, tuition is cancelled. Don't charge anybody tuition and cancel all what is owed as of today. And that was it, right? So I have a few problems. I am happy about it. Who doesn't support a move to reduce the cost of education, thereby creating a more level playing field for the less fortunate people, so that they can access education they can access education as well, right? So nobody opposes that. Some people, the only problem some people have with it is that there's a set of people that have a problem with it, because a few days ago the leader of opposition said that it was in his plan to remove school tuition from the, you know, to cancel tuition, and that no Dominican student will have to pay tuition to the college if the United Workers gets into power. So when a few days after, or a month or a couple of weeks after, the Prime Minister does that, all the opposition supporters are like, oh, that was UWP's idea. But how original is an idea to remove the tuition? I believe I heard both of them mention that. And besides, as I've heard, the government has been paying 80% of the tuition anyway. So actually only 20% of people were actually paying their tuition for themselves. Now that is a problem, because if we have a college and 80% of the population cannot afford the tuition costs, there's an economic problem in the country. I mean, it should be the other way around, right? 20% cannot afford and 80% are paying. So then that 20% will get it for free and then everybody will be happy. But the fact that 80% of the people already cannot pay it, that is a serious problem. That is a sign of a serious problem in the economy. And by paying it doesn't eliminate the problem. That's like a bandage, you know, putting a bandage on a cancer, you know. It doesn't do anything. It can be probably just cover it. But the fact that, okay, no, you don't have to pay the tuition, but you still have other fees to pay. And the thing is, a lot of people have the wrong concept of what is going on. What is going on is that the tuition has been cancelled. That doesn't mean all costs to the college is cancelled. That doesn't mean that you just walk to the college, have no money, you don't need any money to do anything, you just go to school free, completely free. Okay, I guess probably people know they have to buy their books. I don't want people are not that thick. I guess people know that they have to buy the books. But besides the books, there are other fees, you know? So it's not completely free. No, there are a few things. I find a few things with that. Number one, the first thing I find with this is that the Prime Minister writing a letter to the President to tell him that he should cancel tuition with immediate effect. What does this mean? This means that the Prime Minister is in a state of desperation. He wants to do things that will hook election gimmicks. Voop vap. These are the things that we have to look out for. Now, I'm going to explain to you that move. Now, this move tells me one thing. Number one, this move and the timing of this move, we're in May. We are close to the end of the final semester. And the beginning of the school year is when? Isn't it in like August or September? Isn't that when the school year in the state college begins? Right? Now let's say the school year begins August, September. Usually when anything to do with education policy, any changes, improvements, it will be done in the next following year, in the following academic year. So when the academic year begins, it will get into effect when they are in the new academic year. Now the fact that the Prime Minister cannot wait for the new academic year to start for him to implement this, it tells us two things. It tells us, one, that election is going to be before September, because September is too late for him to implement it and get votes. So he needs to do it before September, because election will be in September or before September. So if he says it now, then he will attract the undecided and new voters that are attending college or that will now decide to go to college because it is cheaper. Right? It is not free, it is cheaper, because the tuition fees have been cancelled, but the other fees have not been cancelled. Right? And in a little bit, I will go through the tuition fees so we can see exactly what I'm talking about when I say it's not going to be a free ride. It's not a free ride. Right? Okay, so I was saying that the fact that he decided to implement this change now on an immediate basis, it tells us that election will be before the next academic period starts. So he has to do that now so people can hear about it and it can influence the minds of the voters. That's one. Number two, I would like to warn people, do not get fooled by this and think that it is free, because I'm going to show you the other costs besides tuition that have not been cancelled. Now, right now, we are in the middle of the final semester in the college for the year, right? Registration and so forth, the new year will start in September after elections. Now in September after elections, when people decide to go to register for college and to start college, they will find out that the tuition is the only thing that was cancelled. And tuition is like 50% of the cost. So don't think it's free. And I'm not sure if it is intentionally, if he intentionally like just says it like makes it like a blanket statement to sound like it's completely free. I am not sure if he's doing that intentionally or if that's just how it came out. But we're gonna go through the costs and the fees of the college. So please do not think that it's a free ride. And when you go to register in September and they tell you, well, you have to pay $500 upfront before you even register, then don't say that anybody lied to you, because that's what it actually is. Okay? So let's look at the tuition fees at the college, because I want to explain what I'm talking about. So tuition and fees, that's on the college website. So let's just go down. Each course a student takes is $25. That is the tuition. The tuition at the college is $25 per course. But I think it's per credit. It's per credit, isn't it? Per credit. I think it's per credit. $25 per credit. So if you have a course that is 3 credits, it will be $75 for that course. If you have a course that is for 2 credits, it will be $50, right? For the tuition. Let's look at this as well. All students are expected to pay $530. That is not, I didn't hear that being cancelled. We didn't hear it being cancelled. So if you decide to go to college, you have to pay that $530 before you register, right? So let's look at what the college says. So this is the tuition, right? You have a course. These are the, let's say these are the courses you have to take for this. For the semester. If it's 3 credits, then it's $75. If it's 1 credit, then it's $25. So now, if for this semester you are doing these courses that I have that they laid out there, then you will have to pay $475 tuition. So in that case, a student who enters the college and does, like, I think that is an example for economics major or something. If the student does these courses, then this is going to be the tuition fee, right? That's not all the costs that they will have to face. Let's look at the other costs that they will have to take care of. Now there's tuition and there are fees. The fees were not cancelled. So they have an assessment fee for $210. That is $30 times 7 courses. Then they have an administrative fee of $100. Then they have a computer network access fee. You're paying for your Wi-Fi. Then you have SIS Open. I don't know what that means. Health insurance. I'm not sure. Do they pay for that? The health insurance is probably optional. Library fee $25. Building maintenance fee $75. And student services fee $100. And that's $690. So then that $690 was not cancelled. So you still have more to pay money. But it will be better for you because you will have less money to pay. So that $475 you wouldn't have to pay it, but you will have to pay the $690. The tuition is less than half of the total cost. But look at it, you're going to be paying like half of what you would have to pay normally. And that's a boost, right? So I just don't want people to think that it's just going to college is just completely free, right? So there's in the example, so your total cost for the semester is 475 plus 690, which is 1165. Now with the tuition costs being cancelled, the person only has to pay $690, right? So they still have to pay, but less, about a little more than half. And then they say in order to register for classes, you must pay a minimum deposit of $530. Now, that wasn't cancelled. So, therefore, you will need to use one of the payment plans to settle the balance. Right? So, yeah. So now that we do not have the tuition fees, if in that case you would just have to pay an extra 100 and something dollars after, because you already paid a deposit of $530. So they have examples of the different costs for the different fees for the different courses, because different courses might have different fees. For example, if you have to use a lab, you will have to pay lab fees. If you have to use computers, you pay computer fees. If you have to pay right, so all these are the same, right? Material, you see, the Faculty of Applied Arts and Technology, they have a materials fee of $125. Faculty of Arts and Sciences doesn't have that, right? So the different faculties are different majors, different departments, you might have to pay different fees, right? This was not cancelled, okay? So these are the fees again. They explain. So this is all on the college site. They have all the explanation of the fees and the tuition and so forth. Then they also have January and summer sessions. These January and summer sessions is like a course price. I'm not sure if those course prices include all the fees or if they're just tuition. Depending on what the answer for that question is, then it might be free. If it's just tuition and no other fees. So in terms of the free tuition, this is what it is. Now something else. This is a trap, you know. You know why I say this is a trap? Because by the time Dominicans realize that it's only the tuition that is free, not the entire thing, and they start making noise, the election will have already passed. And if it was successful, then they will be in power again. And then you have to complain? You can't complain for anything. They're reducing your costs by at least 50%. So you should be happy. So it's a benefit. Anyway you look at it, it's a benefit. Whether it's just the tuition or not, it's a benefit. So I'm happy for that, and I hope that it is something that lasts. No, I also have another problem with that as well, the way it was done. There's a board of directors. The college has a board of directors. It's run by a board of directors, right? And decisions are made, the normal way that professional organizations work. The board of directors meet and they come to a decision, and then they come out and say this, blah, 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 blah. But what we're having here is we're having the Prime Minister writing to the President and making an order. So this is not, it's like, it removes the board from everything. The board is nowhere in the part of that decision making. We're not saying that the board would have to object to that. But at least the way that you do these things is not in a dictatorship style. If you actually have a meeting and say, well, that's how the meeting came off, have a meeting with the entire board and then discuss it and say blah 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 and make it look like it's the board decision. Don't just write a letter to the president and say this is what we're doing and this is it. I mean, I find that to be very unprofessional and undemocratic, and this is the problem that I have with it. If anybody does not have a problem with the way that this was done, then something is wrong with your thinking and something is wrong with your idea of a democracy. Although it's something that everybody's going to benefit from, but just that style of doing things and making decisions is something that is spread across everything. And that is how decisions are made in our government. And you have the Prime Minister saying, something and saying, I made that decision. I was just reading some old articles about the hospital, and there was one where the Prime Minister is saying that the location, like to actually build the new hospital at the same location where we had the old hospital, was not his idea. It was not his vision, right? It was all about him. It's not his vision. And then he's saying, he's talking about it like building his house. It was not really my idea, but I don't want to. It's like, where do we come in? Where do the people come in? So it sounds like he's making decisions and then just ordering people to do it. It sounds like a dictatorship, right? Anyway, let me see what's going on. Okay, right, so I have something else I want to bring up. I was just looking to see if there were any comments or anything that okay, so good night to everybody else. I see a few people have joined us. Deja Vu said, if it's a loan, then why does the name have to be called Dominica China Hospital? I think that is like I think it's like the Chinese tradition. The Chinese, whenever they build something significant, something monumental or significant with another country, they like to call it China friendship, whatever country China friendship. And it's not just China, it's also like it's the other Asian countries too, just like Japan too. For example, in China, there's a China-Japan friendship hospital, right? That China-Japan, and when people were putting up pictures and talking about the different China friendship hospitals around the world, and saying China taking over and China putting their things, the China-Japanese friendship hospital was actually from more or less like something from the Japanese to the Chinese. It was kind of like an agreement, like a friend. It's like it shows a relationship between the two, so I think that is just a style of how they name things, that they have relations with the country and build monumental structures or monumental infrastructure, like the bridge and those things. It's not something, I still believe that it can have a name, and it can have a name and still be called the China Dominica Friendship Hospital, right? It could still be called whoever, let's say, just to tickle, let's just say it is called the Eolibla. We already have a highway for Eolibla, so I don't think Eolibla should get everything. So let's say the Eolibla Hospital. We can call it the Eolibla Hospital, right? And it could be the Dominica China Friendship Hospital at the same time. We have a name and a surname, right? It could be the first name and the last name. Could have a first name and a last name. But generally, I think that we should take advantage of what we are getting. We're getting the hospital, and people are getting free tuition. So we should take the advantage of it, but we should understand and we should know what's going on. We should not be held for fools. We should not allow anyone to take us for fools, right? So what else? I was also concerned about whether it's going to last, how long it's going to last, how long the free tuition is going to last, because I would not be surprised if by the time September comes, By the time election comes, it's a change. There's a change, because things like that have to pass through the right channels for it to last, for it to be forever. I think that is a temporary thing, and the fact that the government has been paying for it for the past few years is like something that, they could just say, okay, we're writing a check for all the tuition of the students. But for now, because with that announcement of the cancellation of the tuition, he also spoke about canceling the fees, canceling the tuition that is due right now, right? Last year, was it sometime last year, the Prime Minister walked into the college and handed the college a check of $1 million to cover the cost of the outstanding costs that students owe at the school. So that is nothing in terms of he has been doing it before. So it's like, it's just like the government paid the college, or whatever millions of dollars that is going to cost the Dominicans in tuition for the next maybe year. But we're not sure if that's going to happen, because election is coming and it is something quick. And I don't trust it because it happened too quick. Why does it have to be with immediate effect? And it's March. I mean, I would not be so suspicious if, let's say, it was the cancellation of what's being owed, like the cancellation of the debt, whatever is outstanding. I understand that part. But I feel like if it was a real policy change, it would have gone through somewhere else. That would have gone through a different channel. They would have a meeting, they would talk about it, and it would happen as of the beginning of the next academic year, because that's how things happen when it's a school. You don't just start things in the middle of the last semester, So right now, people are unable to actually test to see what is really free. So by the time they can actually test and go to the school to register for something and find out what is really free, and they realize that they still have to pay $630 or $530 before they register, then it will be too late. Their vote will have already been counted. So that's what I think about that. So there's a little more. So what is interesting? Something interesting happened over the past few days as well. We had let me get it. Okay, so we had an incident. So what happened was, a billionaire investor was arrested in St. Kitts with cannabis that he planned to take to the farmers in St. Kitts so that he could get into an agreement with them to plant and grow his genetically modified strain of cannabis. Now the problem is, St. Kitts was at that point, St. Kitts was at the brink of actually legalizing the use of cannabis, right? So I think this guy was probably so busy to jump into the Caribbean and to do something, because that might be probably, I think Jamaica it's on its way to, but that if St. Kitts actually, does it quickly, they would probably be like the first to actually really legalize cannabis in the Caribbean. So this guy, with all his money, he's so busy to, take the first bites down here that he went down there and he got caught with the cannabis. Now, the story is a weird one. The first thing I'm going to mention, because I highlighted it there. The first thing is, the man said that he was in talks with the governments of those islands, and he says Dominica is included. I don't care about Antigua and Barbuda, but Dominica is included. At this point, Dominica has not had any kind of serious conversation about the legalization of cannabis. I believe that the Prime Minister does not even support legalizing or decriminalizing cannabis, because a lot of these people are still thinking about cannabis as marijuana people are going to smoke. People smoke marijuana as much as they like presently in Dominica, even while it is illegal. Even if marijuana is illegal, that does not mean that everybody is going to start smoking marijuana. The little kids, if they want to smoke marijuana, they can smoke marijuana. They can find marijuana on the block anywhere, and they can smoke it. So just because marijuana, if you legalize marijuana or decriminalize marijuana in Dominica, that does not mean that all school children are going to be smoking it, because you are not going to legalize it and allow kids to smoke it. Because even in countries where the marijuana has been decriminalized and people can use it, they have an age limit. Anybody under 18 cannot smoke marijuana where it's legal. So Dominicans are different or something? They cannot. Okay. So anyway, the Prime Minister is still talking about this in terms of people smoking marijuana, and he's not thinking about it in terms of it is going to be good for the economy and hemp farming, cannabis farming for medical purposes and to produce things, to make things. That is the in thing. That's the new direction of the economy. I mean, all little countries are trying to do it. So many of the states in America have decriminalized marijuana. Right now where I am, I can go and buy marijuana anywhere and I can smoke it. Right? If I smoke marijuana and I walk down the road and I'm smelling bad marijuana, no police can arrest me, no police can tell me nothing, no police can search me because it is legal to smoke marijuana. But that doesn't mean I'm going to smoke marijuana. Right? I grew up in Fokole on the block, walking up and down by the road, seeing boys smoking, people smoking around me, people smoking in the house, everything. I never decided to smoke marijuana. So if I don't want to smoke marijuana, so the fact that now where I'm living it is legal, does that mean that now I want to go and try it? No. So Dominicans are still talking about marijuana like smoking is the issue. Smoking is the least of our worries when we talk about marijuana and cannabis. You know why? Because if we have to actually take advantage of cannabis and marijuana, whatever way you want to call it, if we actually take advantage of that industry and enter into that industry, the young men that are smoking marijuana might not want to smoke their money. You know? There are some men, they might even stop smoking marijuana to see the amount of money that they can make from selling the marijuana, the amount of money that they're making, just planting it and selling it for medicinal purposes. They're not, from just planting the marijuana or doing whatever, processing the marijuana to get the oil from it. They might just stop smoking marijuana, or instead of going to smoke marijuana, they plant marijuana, work in the industry, processing, making the oil, doing whatever it is. We need to take advantage of it. Why we have to be last for everything? We're always last in everything. And now, Dominicans are trying to get the conversation going. They're trying to get the Prime Minister to make some moves, at least talk about it seriously and not just have a stupid seminar, talking around in the mud, inviting Rastas. No. The other thing is, I don't understand why Rastas are the only people that are put in front and talking about cannabis. Because cannabis and all the benefits and economic benefits of the cannabis is not really just to do with Rastas. Rastas just want to smoke it. Right? Rastas just really want to smoke it. So they can meditate, right? But there are some Rastas that if they if it is legal and they can plant it and there's an industry going, then they will be employed. They will be they're up in Zion planting the marijuana, exporting the whatever, making the CBD oil, doing their stuff. Economy booming. So what is the problem? No, we are not hearing anything going on in Dominica in terms of advancement towards the decriminalization of marijuana. However, we are hearing this man talking about that the weed was for setting up of a business in Dominica, Antigua, and St. Kitts. You know, so we have to wonder what's going on. And then he said that he was having talks with the Prime Minister. His public relations officer was having talks with the Prime Minister of Dominica to set up, right, on the phone. No, there are two things. I think two things about that. One, the only way I can understand that this has been happening is if there's someone in Dominica who is being an imposter and pretending to be the Prime Minister. Now, tell me that, right? However, the one man that I know that was actually convicted and went to jail because he was impersonating the Prime Minister was Shaba, and Shaba is dead. Now, if Shaba was alive, I would say probably he was talking to Shaba thinking Shaba was the Prime Minister and he was in talks with the Prime Minister, right? But how can he be in talks with the Prime Minister about setting up business of marijuana in Dominica and no move has ever even been made towards the decriminalization of marijuana? So that doesn't make any sense. So somebody has to explain that to us. What was going on? Who was talking to this man about setting up business in Dominica? And the man will not be lying. There's no reason for the man to lie. So someone has to tell us who has been talking with Alki David about setting up marijuana business in Dominica, right? Because I don't understand why that conversation can be going on with them. And the man, so after he comes from St. Kitts, he also comes to Dominica with his cannabis, right? Right? I don't know. Anyway, it was 1.3 million worth. They said the plants were on board the private aircraft. In another article, they said he didn't have the plants on the aircraft. Then, this is a funny situation because the only thing that's baffling me is that I'm trying to understand how does Dominica fit into that. I can understand if they said Jamaica because Jamaica is making moves towards it, but we are nowhere when it comes to moves towards. So where does that conversation come from? You know, so that is my question here. That's my question here. Then they said that, you see, he has not yet visited Dominica, but he has had meetings with the Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, right? So anyway, the man was bailed, and the man was bailed. Now, the story is really funny as well because the man entered St. Kitts with the cannabis. He came in there, he did all what he had to do, and they arrested him when he was leaving, right? Now listen, the Prime Minister of St. Kitts is lying about something, and he's hiding something, because the man, I'm going to play the story, the man tells the story and what he says that happened. But what really happens is the man was in agreement, was in talks with them, and they asked him to do something he didn't want to do, and because he didn't want to do it, they decided to arrest him for it. So I believe there was something went on, and they decided to arrest him because either people found out that they were going to get some millionaire to control the market that they're just starting to open. Because it's like you have this new economy, this new sector in the economy that you're opening, and then you're inviting this investor to come in to take control of the market, even before the market is open, right? So I believe that there's something that they're hiding. And when you see what he says, then you'll probably agree too. So let's look at the actual,
who was arrested last week by the authorities in St. Kitts and Nevis, plans to file a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against St. Kitts and Nevis Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris. Alcibiades Alki David was arrested on May 9th on 3 warrants for drug importation, possession and intent to supply. Mr. David was arrested on May 9th when he was about to leave St. Kitts and Nevis on his private jet after visiting the country with his business partners to meet farmers on the island in a bid to begin a cannabis business on the island. One of the business partners, he disclosed, was arrested over the weekend and up to news time was still incarcerated. At a press conference on Monday at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort, Mr. David said when he arrived on the island, he brought hemp-based products and over 500 hemp seedlings, which do not fall under the category of illegal drugs. Additionally, he said he was allowed to bring these products on the island as he declared them before landing on St. Kitts.
So I was arrested illegally. My people were arrested illegally. And I'll tell you why we were arrested illegally. So we put out a press release. We put out a flight manifest. We put out a radio call. We downloaded the form from the government site for import and export. We appeared at the customs gate with not 11 plants, but actually 550 plants, not 5,000 plants, 550 itty-bitty little seedlings, this high, 3 inches high, 550 of them in a box this big. And we have been tested ad nauseum by the authorities.
Mr. David made some strong allegations, including an alleged meeting with Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris at the Park Hyatt Resort, which eventually led to the arrest of his business partner.
I had a little meeting yesterday with Mr. Harris at the Hyatt Hotel. It was a very civil meeting, very polite meeting. I sat down opposite him. It was very, very nice. We sat and talked for 15 minutes. I left. I had been asked to do something I didn't want to do. So I left, and then Chase went in and started having a conversation with him. Then a bunch of witnesses who worked there at the Hyatt Hotel saw his guards pick Chase up and take him out. And the next thing we know, he's been arrested for drugs, for cocaine, which is ketamine, which is his medicine that has been taken away from him, and he's now languishing in a jail. So let me tell you, Mr. Harris, what's going to go down. There are 3 lawyers from London in the back room there, and they're going to take you down, sir. You don't do that to me or to my friend.
On irate, Mr. David was asked if he would still do business with the government if the opportunity presents itself, despite the sour start.
I really like to stay apolitical. You'd be surprised, but I don't like politics at all. I like to stay out of them. You know, we have a plan where we don't need government. We don't need government licenses. We have a plan where we grow a plant that is a plant, and it's a medicinal plant, and it's not a restricted plant. We didn't bring in even cannabis. We brought in a cousin of cannabis that has been genetically modified. So under the laws here, guess what? We're not breaking any laws there either. And all of this is going to come out in the court. So to answer your question, yes, still I would, because I'm a businessman. I do a deal with Harris today. You know, I do a deal with Harris today. If he gives the farmers licenses now, today, to start farming rather than, for another 3 months. The thing is this is...
So, and the man wants, because the man wants to tell us when to put the law in, when to put the act in motion. The man wants to tell us when to put the law in motion. You know, find those rich people too impossible. Anyways, the man was in discussion with the Prime Minister. But I don't know if somebody was fooling the man and talking to him as the Prime Minister, and then the man came down and he spoke with the Prime Minister, and it was not as he was speaking to the person. Or it's probably something leaked, the information got out before the Prime Minister wanted it to, and he decided to arrest him. You know, and the man is really mad. He's really pissed at the Prime Minister. You know, it's like
Minister, who was arrested last week by the authorities in St. Kitts and Nevis, plans to file a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against St. Kitts and Nevis.
The thing is with rich people, it's like they believe that they can have their way all the time. And I guess he wanted to have his way. And, you know, I have no idea exactly what went on, but he wanted to have his way. Also, the man said that he brought it in and they were arresting them on their way out. No. And then he says that he got arrested when it was declared, when he declared it. So when? I mean, the whole situation is kind of confusing because some people are not keeping secrets. I think the Prime Minister of St. Kitts is keeping something, just like our Prime Minister is keeping something, because what kind of conversation is he having with the man about marijuana, and marijuana is still illegal in Dominica? And then with St. Kitts, at that time the law was not passed yet. The law was not passed yet, so how can you be in talks? And then I'm still thinking, how do you go to a country with something that is currently illegal, and they are currently working on decriminalizing it, right? At the time when you went there, they are working on the act. They're looking to pass it soon. But you're going in there while it's still illegal. What kind of sense does that make? So what I'm saying is that a man will not leave and go to that country with something that he knows is illegal if he doesn't have some kind of instruction or some kind of he wasn't told or have some sort of agreement with it. I find that doesn't make any sense. And we still have to wonder what agreement or what kind of talks he has been having with the Prime Minister of Dominica for him to come on that trip and intending to go to Dominica with the cannabis. Now he explained some things about the cannabis and the fact that it's hemp and the different strains and so forth. We have a lot of learning to do in terms of that, because it's actually true. What he's saying is actually true. If it does not, the genetically modified ones, they're making all different sorts of strains of marijuana cannabis, so that they have different uses. So in terms of what we consider as marijuana, these things do not have I don't know if all of them, some of them have THC and some of them have CBD. I really don't know exactly, but I guess we have to learn more about it, because if we have to go towards legalizing cannabis, we have to learn about the different types and the different modifications and so forth of it. So we will not be fooled and so forth. Because what we're seeing here is we're seeing this rich investor coming with his genetically modified seeds of what I guess the market, the international market for cannabis and hemp, marijuana, whatever, wants. We right now, all we know, we do not know what people want in terms of the marijuana, cannabis, whatever industry, because all we know is we know marijuana and we know we smoke marijuana and we get high. We need to learn more about it so that we know exactly what our product is and what we can at least be able to grade what is good and what is bad, what is a good crop, what is a bad crop. We have to see if we actually just have one what they call it, different type of plant. If we just have one species or one group, one type of it. So there's a lot of learning to do before we can actually do that, and we're not making any steps towards it. The Prime Minister is not really interested in that at this point, but the opposition leader appears to be interested in it, very much interested in it. So this story is kind of weird because something is missing in the story. A few things are missing in the story in terms of those prime ministers and their involvement, in what's going on with the man.
After illegally arresting us, after illegally arresting me, These stupid motherfuckers just arrested my partner for nothing. He'll be out within at least 72 hours by law, and then, Mr. Harris, PM, you're going to get a fisting, baby. Literally a legal fisting like no other. Stand by. So after illegally arresting us,
so the man is pissed, he's upset, and he wants to punch. He wants to punch the Prime Minister of St. Kitts. And let me tell you, that man is very malcassé. So I think, and I can imagine how he was probably acting. And you know, some rich people and some arrogant people, how they act. And that man is a very malcassé man. And because I say that, the fact that I say that is not because I know the man or I've ever even heard much about him before. But I came across this video of this man, right? And this man.
So we're here with Alki and Jennifer David, of course, the owners of 90210 Go, and of course Have Faith, on, and many other companies. Good to have you here.
thank you so much.
You look beautiful, Nishka.
Well, I'm a little bit chilly, Jen.
That's okay.
Alki, I'm going to put my mouth on that now. That's absolutely disgusting. Oh my goodness. Jennifer, I'm not often speechless, but I think I've actually been caught in the speechless.
You can imagine how the man was acting when they arrested him, because this man is nothing. This man is very mad. So this is the kind of man that we're dealing with, right? So I just wanted to talk about those things. I think I was a little bit longer than I planned, but I've gotten to the end of what I was talking about. I'm just kind of getting back into the groove, because it's been a while since I didn't do a live broadcast, and I'm kind of losing my groove in terms of keeping eyes on the conversation and doing everything. But I hope I did better this time. If you're watching and you want to see my other broadcasts whenever I come live, please like or follow. I mean, it's very hard for some of you to do it. I mean, it's very, I know how hard it is to just click a little button. It's a very hard thing, clicking a button, right? So if you can, just click the button and follow, like, so that you will see my next video. I'm still working on trying to be regular. Okay, so I saw a few things now. So I'm looking at the chat. Good questions. I'm not sure when exactly that comment came in, so I'm not sure which were the questions. Okay, didn't he say that his friends got arrested for cocaine, claiming it's his friend medicine? Yeah, so I want to know. We don't know. You see, there are so many questions in that situation. You know, his friend was arrested for cocaine, and he said this is medicine. I really don't know. So anyways, this has been our Outside the Box for today. I look forward to have another discussion with you guys. I hope to see you here next time, and I really appreciate it. And keep coming. It will get better. It will get better. Okay? So have a good night and see you next time. Bye.